Welcome back to the Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast, where we will explore the local arts, culture, and community in the Lehigh Valley. We'll be doing this through conversations with individual artists, administrators, and organizations. We'll discuss all types of mediums with the goal of enriching local arts culture.
Welcome back to Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast. I'm Elise, and I'm here with our guest host today, Kate Hughes, director of Fig Lehigh Valley. Hey,
Hi.
Kate.
Sorry, I talked right over you just then.
No.
I'm like, I can't wait to get started.
You have such a long name and such a long title. I have
know.
to fit it all in.
It is long. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for coming back.
Of course.
It's been quite a while. You were very early on in the Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast life cycle, and we were very happy to have you back.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It took a lot of begging and pleading.
I was like, maybe if I can pencil it. No, I'm very happy to be back. And honestly, I love what you folks are doing here. It's very important, and I'm so happy to see it just grow and grow and grow. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your support and all of the guidance and support you've given us as a pro interviewer and radio star. So thank you.
Oh, well, we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, I guess this will really put it to the test.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. Well, we're going to hear from local singer-songwriter extraordinaire Kendal Conrad in a bit.
Yes, we are.
But I want to catch up with you.
Okay.
So since you've been on, you've added to your repertoire director of Fig Lehigh Valley, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I am so thrilled to be a part of that publication. And again, it's something that brings the community together so much like what you do. I get to do that too. And every day I just feel very grateful. And I get to write and I get to meet all of these people that live here in the Lehigh Valley. And everyone's just kind of connecting with each other through the magazine. And it's really cool.
That's awesome. That energy that you put behind it and the attitude that you bring towards it is extremely, extremely admirable and inspirational. And it's really cool. I had the privilege of watching you work.
Oh, that's right.
And that was a day I'll be completely frank, dreading having my photo taken. But the passion that you have for the work that you do really comes through. So it's cool.
Oh, thank you.
Cool to see that, and congratulations. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel, again, I'm just very, very grateful. It is a wonderful thing to get to do what you love to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to have a little bit of everything. I get the art direction with the photo shoots. I get to write. Again, I get to connect people. And, I bring people's ideas to fruition through the magazine. I mean, I don't do it personally. I mean, we have a whole team, but I get to be a part of it, and it's really. I'm very, very. I just keep saying how grateful it's been. With the pandemic and everything, it's been difficult for a lot of people, and to come out of it and have this new life and this new career, and that I truly love. I'm just grateful.
I'm positive that they're grateful for you too.
Oh,
so.
Thanks for saying that. I'm going to come here every day. This is wonderful.
You should. It's good vibes only in here. Sorry, I work at a college now, and I can't stop saying good vibes only.
I like
my
it.
students say it 100 times a day.
Okay, I'm going to steal that from you. I like the word vibe.
Yeah.
And especially in the summer, summer vibes.
Yeah,
I
feel it. Well, since we've last seen you, you've also had a very, very successful, very starstruck show.
Oh, geez. I did. I had a at Arts Quest. Do you want to? I know you want to say it. I'll let you say it.
Do you want me to Amsterdam?
That's right. 4 A's, 4 M's, 4 N's. Yeah, my most flammable series, we did the 3rd chapter, Amsterdam. That's how you say it, Elise. And I kept pitching it that I was going to do something that had never been done before. And I did. I came through. I had some technical difficulties on my end, but guess what? People probably expected that from me. So I didn't disappoint. But at the end, I proposed to my boyfriend, and he said yes. Thank goodness, because that's what I had written in the script.
Oh, that's good.
So that worked out. Yeah, he said yes. And then he came on stage and he actually got down on one knee and he had a ring in his hand. And I was just, that's a big moment, first of all. And people keep saying to me, and they're like, wow, that was really brave. And I think, do they say that to men when men ask women?
Definitely not.
Yeah. So flip the script a little bit, I guess. And I didn't anticipate, like most of the things that I do in my life, I don't really think of the things that might happen. Like people were saying, like, what if he says no? My family, they're like, don't do it. What if he says no? And I was like, I wouldn't be asking him if I thought he would say no. Yeah. And so I didn't really anticipate the actual, like the crowd's reaction. Everyone jumped to their feet and they kind of rushed the stage. And it was really overwhelming in a wonderful way. And when he got down on one knee, he had this ring. And I was so perplexed because I didn't understand. I was like, no, I'm proposing. You're not proposing. And here, one of my girlfriends, Megan Reed, she's a jeweler. And she made this ring. She had it on her finger. And she said to him, you can't go up without a ring. So she took it off her finger and she gave it to him.
That's awesome.
And it's mine. She's like, you don't have to keep it. I didn't want to overstep my bounds. I'm like, I am never giving this back to you. This is mine now, just so you know. Just pure magic. Just pure magic. And it was wonderful to see, because it's been a long time. My show was canceled twice because of, why. We don't have to say it again. And finally, we got to a point where we could sort of gather again. And I sold out, which I can't believe. People pay money to hear what I have to say. It's still, I just wonder I don't trust them. I don't trust their logic. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful show, even with the technical difficulties. I knew I had that ace in my pocket at the end, so I was like, I'll be fine. And I was right.
Well, huge congratulations in order on all fronts.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm was very excited to hear about the outcome of it all. So,
thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I will also thank you for agreeing to be a guest host this week.
Oh my gosh. Ask me anytime. I'm so excited. And Kendal Conrad, I don't think you could have picked a better person for me to match up with for my first one, because I feel like you're going to ask me to come back after this. I
think maybe.
You'll be convinced after all the questions that I ask her that you'll know that you can't do it without me. So these are jokes.
That's exactly what I was hoping for. Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.
Well, if you don't mind, I will pass her bio over to you and then let you guys kick it off.
Sure. Kendal Conrad is a singer-songwriter from Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Her single, Leader of the Pack, garnered over 26 million views on TikTok and over 1 million plays on SoundCloud. She sang a duet on stage with Keith Urban at Music Fest in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. She also opened for 36 of the country's hottest artists, including Blake Shelton, at the Dick's Sporting Goods Open to a crowd of over 18,000, Alabama at the Santana Arena, and Kane Brown. She has performed the national anthem for the New York Mets, Philadelphia Phillies, NASCAR, and more. Kendal also runs the popular food blogging Instagram page, Kendal's Bites, which features good eats from the Lehigh Valley and beyond. Kendal was recently named one of the Women to Watch by Lehigh Valley Business and Lehigh Valley Style's Best Local Musicians of 2022. So I have the distinct honor. I am sitting here with Kendal Conrad. Welcome to the studio, Kendal.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So this is my first time interviewing someone here.
Really?
So, yeah, buckle up.
Oh my gosh.
So Kendal, you and I met in what I consider to be a sort of odd way. We met virtually on a computer screen. And that was the first time I witnessed the magic.
Was it though? Was there magic?
Yes, there was.
Did it happen?
You were sitting, I don't know what room you were in your home. I was also sitting in a room in my home. And we were on a podcast with Tyler Rothrock and Tim Fry, Big Cat, the professor, and you sang to us.
I did.
And to our listeners.
I did.
With your guitar. Do you remember what you sang?
I think I put out a single at that point, right? It was a new song at the time.
It was a new song.
So maybe it was like Stranger Things, or I don't think it was Leader of the Pack. It was probably like Better On or Stranger Things or one of those, I think.
I have to tell you, so I have this problem when I see talent. My mouth just opens and it just hangs open because I'm just in shock or something. I'm not really sure. And that's kind of what happened because you look at you and there's many things that you see, many things, and we'll get into that in a moment. But you, in my humble opinion, I did not estimate the powerhouse voice that was going to be displayed before me.
That is really sweet.
It is really true also.
That's nice of you to say. Thank you.
So I got the introduction to Kendal Conrad on a computer screen, which is weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was live.
It was live.
Yeah. It was live.
And now we're back in the world again.
Yeah.
And you are back on stage and you are writing your songs and you're performing and you're opening for some big names.
Yep. Yeah. Just did Chris Young at the Wind Creek.
Wow.
First time. That was really fun.
Yeah.
And then this is announced, so I can talk about it. But I'm opening for Scotty McCreery in Quakertown. That's going to be fun in July. So now that things are opening, like I'm getting back into like performing for bigger crowds and like bigger venues, which is the part that I love.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really excited.
Well, as a performer, I would imagine that you feed off of that audience.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the computer. It's
slightly different.
It's like it's still there.
Yeah,
it's still there. But I don't know if you're like me, where like sometimes I don't influence the energy in the room. I am influenced by the energy in the room. So like if the crowd is really, really into it, whether it's like at a small gig at a bar or it's like opening for Chris Young. Like if they're super into it, like I'll rise to that energy. And then if the crowd is really like lame or they're like low key, or maybe they are just listening. It's more of a listening crowd or whatever. But I will like come down and like kind of tone it down. Yeah. And so the computer is a strange performance medium because there's no energy at all.
Right.
You're just staring at yourself. Singing or whatever. So it's like, it's very weird for me to like, I don't know, vibe
guess
with
what?
it.
You couldn't, if you felt weird or any of that stuff, no one saw that.
Good.
It was awesome.
It's very good.
And I was impressed, to say the least.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So I have to ask you.
I'm flattered.
Oh, please don't be. You are very talented. So,
thank you.
I mean, there's no question about that.
Thank you.
So I did want to ask you a little bit about your background. I want to know, how did Kendal Conrad come to be?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. It didn't even like start. I always like say this. There was never like, oh my, like I had this moment where I connected with music or singing or whatever. And there's just not a good jumping place for that. For some reason, I always sang.
Okay.
And I always wanted to sing. And I was always like dragging around my boombox with CDs and like singing along to my Whitney Houston greatest hits.
Oh my gosh, that was
the double CD.
That was my very first CD.
Was it? Which one?
I Want to Dance with Somebody. What was that one?
Yeah, the 80s. I think it was just Whitney. That was the.
It was before CDs. It was
Mm-hmm.
it was the tape. It was my first tape.
That's amazing.
And she has the white tank top on.
Yes.
And she looks so beautiful.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking
about.
about.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Singing to that because I was like, oh, I sound just like her. Where you actually do. You actually have talent. I just pretend. I always say I have the heart of a singer, just not the voice of one.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's that passion of the dance moves.
That's beautiful.
Just not the voice. Yeah, darn it. Okay, so
yeah, no huge grandiose,
no aha moment.
No, I just was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do this forever. And that's what I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, going back to that time in 2020 where we met on a computer screen.
Yes.
When we were on camera still, but we had turned off the podcast. The four of us had this conversation about just going for it with your art. And, we're all creative people the people that are here in the studio, of course, but on the podcast, the comedians, actors, and you. And I do think that that is innate. You are born with that sort of drive because you're different. You're different. You're not a 9-to-5er. That would never be you. That would never work out for you.
Yeah.
And did you have to kind of do that first? Because typically you sort of have to go through that and you're like, that's not for me. This isn't for me.
Interesting.
And then you get to the point where you're like, as an artist, a creative person, where you just think, I have to try, or you don't, or you just go the other way.
Wow. That's super interesting because I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like 15 or 16 and I think I was learning guitar at this point and I wasn't very good, but I was like picking it up slowly. And I was a hostess at an Italian restaurant and I folded silverware. And it was kind of that thing where, I was making a couple bucks to like pay for some fun things at 15 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing like flyers like taped to like walls in restaurants and stuff of like these older men gigging. But it was like only older men. There was like no one even my age, no one who looked like me or whatever. And I was like, I wonder if I could do that. Like, I play guitar. I know some songs. Like, are they getting paid to do this? Because I'm going to piece out of my hostess job and I'm going to go do that. So I did have that. It wasn't technically a 9-to-5, but, it was that route of non-creative or just the hustle.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to be creative.
The
I want to do something
paycheck
creative.
maker.
Yeah. Which is like great. And it was fine for what it was. But I feel like some people, like you were saying, like I needed an outlet to express myself.
Absolutely.
And like I was like, I don't know if I'd call myself shy, but I was quiet. I was a really quiet kid. And so I think music for me was like speaking.
Yeah.
And it was like when I didn't have it, it was like I was quiet. And so like I would only really quote unquote make noise when I was performing.
Interesting.
Other than that, I was kind of like I would hang back, like I was kind of wallflower at parties. Like I never, I want to say I never like actively participated in life unless I was singing. You know what I'm saying?
You just gave me chills, honestly. I don't know if you can see that from across the room. That's so interesting. So your voice was your voice.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of creative people that are like that. So I guess, would you still, from what I'm hearing, I hear that you were at one point an introvert. Is that the case now?
I feel like, and you're kind of like, we're in that age, we're like older. So I feel like I have grown and I've gotten better at being extroverted.
Yeah.
But it's not natural, no. Doesn't come naturally.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Because for me, I was very quiet. I was a very shy person.
Same thing.
So shy.
That's amazing.
And I was a dancer. My parents put me in dance. And once that hot, like white spotlight hit me, I came alive. And you get to do that on a regular basis. You get to be on stage, and I can tell you because I've been there as a child and sometimes as an adult. I do performances, but you get to do what I only dreamed that I could do. But that view from the stage, the light blocks out everyone, or at least it should. Mm-hmm. And you kind of feel, that you're in this room filled with people, but you can't see anyone's actual faces, but they're there. That moment, that view, I feel like there's nothing like that.
And if you're not a performer and you haven't experienced that, there's no way to explain it.
Right.
There's no way to explain or like what it feels like.
Yeah.
You can like try, but it pales in comparison to what it actually in fact feels like.
Yeah.
And it's weirdly kind of like a drug.
I was just going to say it's addictive.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because once the performance is over, you're asking yourself, when can I do it again? When can I go back?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you've gotten this question before of, have you ever had stage fright or were you ever scared to do it?
Oh, yeah.
And I know some people like have experienced that who are performers, but I've never been afraid to do that.
Good
Have
for you.
Have-
I've had the, before you go on, the nervous butterflies.
Yeah, I do too, but I mean like a
No.
then like a deer in headlights and you're like, well, what am I doing? Like I've never experienced that.
No. And obviously from being on stage, I'm sure you've heard that public speaking is a lot of people's greatest fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a real thing. Though I consider myself to still be an introvert, I don't have that fear. I can give me a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a microphone any day. I can take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know exactly what that is, but that's the heart of a performer.
Well, I think there's something to performing or speaking to the masses for me that is like not scary versus like I've joked about this so many times to people, like a small group party or like a one-on-one thing or like that is harder for me to do than it is to kind of speak, quote unquote, speak to a huge group of people. I don't know. It's easier for me to do the huge mass group.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. We're very similar, but you're way more talented than I'll ever be.
Oh, stop.
No, it's true. People know it. People know it. So I just have a couple of questions before we get to, I want to talk about your creative process. But before we start that, I need to know, what is your favorite color?
Purple.
Oh, no hesitation. Has it always been purple?
Yes. My carpet in my bedroom is purple.
Okay. Interesting.
Aggressive.
I'll tell you. Very good. I'll tell you this. People with blue eyes usually say blue. People with brown eyes usually say not blue. No, they usually say a different color than brown. But usually people with blue eyes usually say blue.
Wait, do you have blue eyes?
Yeah, my favorite color is blue.
Oh my gosh. No, so you're falling into the stereotype.
I know. I'm just like the herd.
See, if I were you, I'd be like, even if I love blue, like can't do it.
Can't do it because all you other people are doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you a wake up early in the morning and get it done, or are you a stay awake through the night person?
Depends.
Okay. Depends on what?
Depends on how tired I am.
Okay.
Sometimes I just can't stay awake. I get very easily that heavy eyelid feeling where you can't keep your eyes open.
I'm familiar.
And it's like, it's very frustrating. And I'm like, I want to work on this. And I feel like you have to know when to stop.
Yes.
Especially as a creative, because then your work or whatever you're working on, if you do it tired, you're not focusing. Like I'll wake up in the morning, reread it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I stare at it and I'm like, that's not it. That's not there. And that was a waste of time. I should have just gone to bed.
Yeah, you need your sleep.
Yeah. So sometimes I do actually prefer the get up, you're kind of feeling fresh and awake.
The early rise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not super early, Kate.
What's early to you? What's the number?
Like anytime after 8 a.m.
Oh, wow. Kendal, I did not expect that answer from you. Okay.
Why?
I just figured you would wake up really early. I think of you as a person who likes to be doing things when other people aren't doing them.
Can I put this in, like, this is great.
Yeah.
Can I quote you on this? And
Absolutely.
Put it in, like,
that's for you. That was.
I absolutely love that.
Okay, so what is your?
That's very true.
I thought so. See, I'm very intuitive.
That is so true. I love that.
Yeah, I just picture you that way.
That's amazing. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. So what is the process? How do you write? And this, by the way, this isn't just a question that I'm asking because I'm supposed to ask this question. I really want to know, and I'm fascinated by it. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let you give it first.
What, the songwriting process?
The songwriting process.
Most of my songs, so when I was younger, most of my songs were these little ditties about like boys, and they were super cute, and it was kind of me chasing a Taylor Swiftian kind of Fearless album, if you remember that one. And it was like it was me, and then it was me copying Taylor Swift a little bit. So I went from there into actual songwriting, which was mostly came from things that were just bothering me, and I would write about them. And then on the flip side, it was me going into my phone notes and looking at super catchy titles that I thought would be commercial or like unique or a different perspective. And I would write a whole song around an innuendo thing, or like a turn of a phrase, like "Come to Your Senses," my single, like that's kind of a play on that idiom. So like I was an English major in school, so I really like playing with words and what you can do with that. So half of it's therapeutic, half of it is literally being creative with words, and that's fun for me, and it's like a puzzle.
I seriously was like going to say the word puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. And you know.
I know.
When the line fits. Well, yeah, and you're a writer. Yeah, you know when that line fits, and you're like, that's the line, that's it. Yeah. Don't touch it.
Right, don't touch it.
It goes there.
It goes right there.
Yeah.
Do not move it.
And you know somehow when it doesn't,
right.
Because you keep coming back to it, and you're like, that doesn't flow.
Something's
it's wordy.
Right.
Something's off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So just to go back about what you said just a couple of seconds ago. So you said you go into your phone notes. So you are a note taker in the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you go back to a title. So you write titles.
I love titles.
So
I love writing around a title.
So the title comes first?
A lot of the time for me. Yeah,
okay.
You can write to, I don't know how you're kind of writing, how you get to a script or whatever it is. But for me, if you have the title, that's like what you call a hook, like what you write to. So that's like the ba-dum-bump. That's the end of the, the hook. Like, we're never, ever getting back together.
Ever.
That's the hook. And then you start with that, and you're like, well, what's the story? And then you write around the hook. So other writers write from a super emotional place, and they get mad at me. They're like, let's write something real. Let's not be tied to this title. And they're like, tell me a story.
Ah.
And so I'll talk about, I'll dredge up some story or some personal thing that happened recently or whatever. Even if it's stupid, they're just like, just talk, just tell me a story. And then sometimes we'll come up with something from that, but I don't prefer that. I like the title because it's flashy. But, I've gotten some really meaningful, vulnerable songs from not going with title.
First.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So it's like, it makes me more uncomfortable to do that. Because like I'm a planner, and I know that that's where the song's going to sit.
You are a planner.
I'm a super planner.
That's great.
Everything's planned out. Yeah. Everything's in its place. And then I know what I'm doing forever.
You're like, this will never change. Okay. So kind of going back to this organization of thoughts, putting the puzzle together, that's fascinating to me because it feels like I'm sort of talking about myself, but I just want to relate to you.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, when I write, I don't know how it's going to end. And when it finally does end, a lot of the times I'm surprised that it went the way that it did.
Really?
It's so weird. It's kind of, I don't want to say it writes itself, but it's,
yeah,
I don't know.
But we talked about this earlier. Yeah, you're very like spontaneous.
Yes.
You vibe off of, like, that's what I like about you. You're very open.
Well, yes.
I wouldn't call myself open. I'm closed.
You're closed. You're closed a moment. So we suit each other. This is perfect.
Open, closed.
Okay. So you write with other people.
I do.
Then. Okay.
Yes.
And how, forever, have you always been doing that?
I rejected that idea.
I would reject that idea as well.
Especially because, like I just said, when that writer is like, tell me a story. And you talk about how some guy broke your heart, or you go into the dirty details, and you're like, I don't even know you. But that's it. That's right. What it is. And there is this weird, I'm telling you, there's this weird thing where it's like, like a confidentiality thing that happens where it's like you're in this together and you write this song and it's this amazing thing that happens in like 3 hours. And
that's cool.
I've grown to like it because they'll come up with ideas and turns of phrase and things like that I didn't see or think of. And that's kind of thrilling because sometimes it's better than what I had imagined. I'm like, I'm so glad you were here because I wouldn't have said that. But that's what the puzzle piece is. It's that phrase or whatever they just came up with. So sometimes I have really, really enjoyed it. Other times they try to steer the right. And I'm like, this is my story and my experience. Right. And if you want to write about your breakup, we can do that. But if we're writing about mine, this is where it goes and what it is. And that is when I get really frustrated, especially when you're in the room with like hit writers or writers with cuts or writers with publishing deals who think they know better than you. And they're like, no, this is what we're doing. And you're fighting with them in the room. And, sometimes I've let it go and I've gotten a song at the end of the session that I would absolutely not sing. But, I look at that writer and I go, I'm never writing with you again. And I wouldn't have known this if I didn't write with you. So
right. And I'm a lot, I'll say more advanced in age. That's how we'll phrase it than you are.
And they all were the ones that were frustrating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. None of them were my age. They were all much, much older.
Much, much older. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That now you know.
Mm-hmm.
As I've gone on in this life, I've realized that the mistakes are sometimes better than the successes. I have found that. And you don't see it when it's happening. And then, that hindsight, right?
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. And that's how I've sort of looked at life, because to put so much time into something and then it comes out where, it's not usable or something like that. Instead of looking at it like, oh man, I wasted all my time. I look at it, well, I learned that I will never work with this person again,
And you'll never know unless you tried it.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So kind of dealing with the same topic of the creating of the songs. You said Taylor Swift, and this is audio, so I smiled when you said that. I had this big smile. No one saw it. But I think of Taylor Swift when I think of you, or maybe I'm saying the wrong.
That is so sweet.
And I very much admire her.
Yes, I do too.
And I can tell that your music is like that. And I don't mean like Taylor Swift. I mean honest. And it's vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And people gravitate towards it. You can tell. And one of the songs that you mentioned that come to your senses, I'm sure the people that listen to your music and that are your fans, I really love that song because I love what you do. I love what you do with the English language.
Right?
It's really cool. It makes you think of it
differently.
Yeah.
Because that's literally what that phrase, like if you were unfamiliar with that phrase and someone just said that to you, and it's so hard to do that, to like clear your mind that way. But it was actually my mom who came up with that. Yeah. So she had been wanting to write with me, and I was basically like, if you come up with the hook, which is basically the whole song, that's the whole idea of the song, is the hook. I'm like, you can write with me, but you need to come up with the hook. Like, this is your moment to prove yourself.
Now, how fast did she come up with this?
Maybe like a month or two.
Okay.
So she was like mulling it over. Well, and this is after a couple that she threw out that I was like,
no,
I don't love it. I don't love it. I don't even remember what those were, but she just like was like, come to your senses one night when I came home, and I was like, okay. I was interested because I love idioms and I like, phrases and things. And she said, what if it's like super sexy? And it's literally asking this guy to wake up and come to his senses and see that you two could have a relationship, or you two, have a vibe or a connection or whatever. And he needs to come to his senses. And I love the whole idea. And she explained it to me that way. And she was like, that's the chorus. And I was like, that's awesome.
It's really smart.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And I like that. I like when I hear a song and it makes me think. And I do also think that people can make songs out of pretty much anything. And back in the day, they did. Like bop, shabop, doo-wop, shabop. Like those were lyrics. And I feel like, step it up, man. I expect more, right?
Yeah.
And you give us more.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Thank you. Gosh, what am I saying? Okay, so another thing that I wanted to sort of talk to you about, obviously we're living in a different world. I mean, not now because of 2020. I mean, it's the digital age. We are in the digital age. So if people don't know you, they can search for you online and they can see what you look like, what you're working on, what you've worked on, where you've been, all of that stuff. Are you finding that people, when you go out in public, are they running up to you and like, oh my God, Kendal Conrad, she's here?
Sometimes yes.
Okay.
Sometimes no. So it depends on the place. It depends. I mean, this sounds weird, like what I'm wearing. I found that people want pictures and things when I'm like super, super in my artist look.
Yeah.
Versus, it's funny because that's like the opposite for celebrities. Like people want pictures with Brad Pitt when he's eating dinner and he has to get security and all that. But no, I've found that, and maybe it's because of Instagram and posting pictures of like really cool things. Like people love my big shows when I'm super dressed up in my artist looks.
Yeah.
That's when I get the most, like not necessarily attention, because they'll come up to me and we'll have good talks too. Like they'll tell me their favorite song and like what they liked about my set and all this stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not just hey, can I get a picture? Like they want to talk, like they want to have a conversation. Yes. Yeah. So yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did want to talk about your look because, well, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. First of all, I want to go to your closet. I want to be in your closet. I have to get in there. How do I get in there? I can only imagine.
I can bring you.
Okay, let's go. The amount of sparkles and sequins, it's thrilling when I
know you like that too.
I love it.
Yeah.
And one thing that I know about you is your shoe collection. I admire your shoe collection, and you go for it. You just go for it. I don't know if you feel comfortable in some of the shoes that you're wearing, but they are sparkly, they are tall, they are pointy, they are beautiful.
God, that's the best compliment this whole podcast, I think.
Well, we still have time. I can do better. But you make me, and you've made me want to pull out my shoes.
Well, the one time we were in Bethlehem for the Christmas thing.
Yeah, the Advent calendar.
The Advent calendar.
On Main Street.
You had those amazing rhinestone sparkly booties on, remember?
Because I wore them.
I remember them.
For you.
I was like, oh my God. Well, I looked at them online and you were wearing them, and I was like, I looked at that same exact pair.
Yeah.
So that was so funny.
I know, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Simpatico.
We did.
But I did that. I wanted to wear sparkly shoes for you.
I noticed them and I was like, wow, those are amazing shoes.
And whenever I see your shoes, the same thing. I'm like, I wish I had this. But the outfits that you wear, it's the whole thing. It's what you look like online, the poses, being in front of the camera, the makeup, the hair, the outfits, the jewelry. And it's not over the top. And it's not because I know you. It's very appealing, and it feels like you would be an approachable person. And you do it pretty flawlessly. You put these things together, and I think it's just very inspirational. It makes me, I'm like, what is she
Really?
singing now? I want to hear what she's singing. Yeah, it makes
That's
me
awesome.
want to listen to you more.
I hear
And
what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying it the right way.
No, yeah, I get it. Well, it's like a package
Yes.
kind of thing. You can't have one without the other with what you're talking about. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, and I think
I'm talking with my hands again. We're on a podcast, Kate.
I know. Well, I know there's no cameras. If there were, I'd have to sit on my hands because I'm very handsy.
It's all right. It's okay. The listeners are missing out.
Yeah, they're missing out. This is a great show visually.
but no, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I want the visual to support the audio.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's kind of what I'm going for. I want what I look like to feel like my music.
Well, you've nailed it.
Thank you.
I
put a lot of thought in.
Well done. Well done. And it doesn't look like you're even trying. I guess it's very easy.
Right.
It's easy to watch you. It's easy to listen to you. And that is a sign of an excellent performer. I'm very honored that I get to sit across this little table from you because no, it's true.
I'm going to cry.
Well, good. I want to make Kendal Conrad cry. No, it's I feel very honored. So I can see where you're going, and the future looks bright, man, for you. It really does.
Thank you.
Yeah, and and to kind of touch on that too, anyone that looks at you, anyone that has eyes, can see that you are a beautiful, beautiful woman, and also on the inside too. So that is wonderful. But I do want to ask you about that because there's a lot that comes with that, with beauty. There is. People expect you to kind of act a certain way, to kind of look a certain way always.
Mm-hmm.
When you're taking out the trash or something like that, you're expected to look a certain way and act a certain way. And I'm wondering how, and it's not, these are just sort of facts. It's not an ego thing. It's how has what you look like, your beauty, how has that either helped you or hindered you in your professional career?
That's an amazing question.
I'm an amazing interviewer.
Wow. My mind is blown.
Her hands are up again.
No one can see.
No one can see it.
So negative first, the hindrance. And maybe you've dealt with this too in your career, but it's hard to trust, I want to say like men in particular in business who want to help.
Yes.
Because you're just not sure what the intention is.
Right.
And even if it seems pure, they want to help or whatever, you're never really sure. It doesn't even matter if they're married. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part in the business in general. Whether it's like looking for sponsors or looking for gigs or looking for jobs or whatever. Investors, things like that. Maybe you've dealt with some of this, but it's just hard to trust what's really. I mean, it's hard to trust people in general in business transactions,
For sure.
but that makes it harder because you're just like, are you doing this because you want to go out on a date with me? Right. Which is like, and it's flattering, and it's not like, oh my God,
right. Again.
it's nice. I appreciate it. But not when you're trying to like work a deal. It's frustrating and it's annoying and it's almost like Reese Witherspoon, Elle Woods.
Oh,
you want to be taken seriously in your art and your business, and like you don't want that infringing upon it, but it's inevitable. So I don't know. That's a hindrance for me, but it's helped. I mean, obviously, like sex sells.
Yeah.
And that's just a fact, and that is what it is. I know I've gotten comments from men and women on my pages when I post something super sexual, put some clothes on, all of those stupid comments. I've had a bunch of those before, but, I feel like you were saying when you know your brand.
Yeah.
We haven't used that word yet. When you know what your brand is, there's really nothing that you can post or record or whatever that you regret if you do it with like your brand mindset. So anything that I posted, I've already looked at it and I'm like, this is me. It's being shown to the internet, to the world. And the reaction is what it is, but I put my stamp of approval on it, and that's what it is.
And it goes out there.
Yeah. And then I'm like, if people are confused by it or they don't like it or whatever, then so be it. But I chose it, and it was me at the time of it being posted.
Right.
And that's all you can really do.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're all that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the packaging we came in.
But I know some people follow trends. They try to post like what they think people will like, and I have never really done that. So
yeah, you have this very unique style that really is all your own.
mm-hmm. I don't know if any of that answers that question.
Yeah, no, I just know that for someone that looks like you and someone that's young and you're just full of energy. I don't know when you sleep.
We talked about this before.
I just feel like you're constantly there and doing things, and it's so admirable.
Thank you.
You make me feel like a very lazy person.
Well, I can't remember who said this. I think it was Mark Cuban from Shark Tank, and I think it was him, but he said something along the lines of, I'm constantly worried or fearful that everyone around me is outworking me. And that makes me like continue to work hard and put myself out there. And I thought that was interesting when he said that, because I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. I feel like when I'm taking a break or when I'm on vacation or whatever, someone else has stepped up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I need to get back in the game right now.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So you're a person that likes to see the old dots on the calendar.
Yeah.
You need to see it.
Yeah.
I get
the
it.
Stuff's got to be scheduled, Kate. It's got to be, I text people and I'm like, yo, what do you do in June?
Right.
Of 2024. Can we put it down? Can I put it on the books?
Right.
10 a.m. We gonna have lunch?
Right.
We gonna have a lunch meeting?
It's true. You do that. I fall prey.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I've done that to you.
You have. Now we can talk about how we are connected in another way.
Uh-oh.
So you have graced not only pages, but the cover of Fig Lehigh Valley magazine.
The elite.
And for those of you who are listening out there, you can go online and you will see that Kendal Conrad was on the cover of the winter issue of 2021.
Great issue.
Oh, great cover. It was wonderful.
The best.
Yeah, and we shot under sparkly lights at Steel Stacks in Bethlehem.
We did. It was an amazing set.
Yeah, and I was like, twirl, Kendal, twirl. And you just kept twirling your big floofy,
well,
is that a word? Skirt?
Sure.
Now it is.
Sure. We've made it a word.
Yeah.
No, yeah, your energy, like we just talked about, your energy gave me energy, and it was great.
Well, that's part of my job. I have to jump up and down like a fool.
Do you find that some people don't?
Not into it.
Yeah.
No, I haven't found it yet.
That's
Don't
good.
jinx me.
That's good.
Don't jinx me, Kendal. But yeah, so now with that being said, you are an influencer. People seek you out when they need help with their own branding.
Okay. I like that.
They do. You have that illustrious, is that the right word? The ever, like the dangling carrot blue check mark next to your name.
Oh, yes.
On social media.
Yes. That's a good word for it.
Yeah. It's
for a while it was elusive.
Elusive?
Yeah, the elusive check mark.
And well, now you have it.
Yeah.
So you have that check mark.
I know.
And that means something in the
Carries
game of
some
life.
weight. Yeah.
It does. So people look for you. And they want you to help them with their brand, with their product.
Mm-hmm.
And you are very generous with that. You have a page, I think it's this last issue that's out, the Heart and Soul issue of 2022 for spring.
Mm-hmm.
And you are at the Twisted Olive.
I was.
And you were eating a salad. They brought you so much food.
And I took it all home and ate it over the course of a couple days.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I enjoyed it.
So when that happens, when you I guess, well, just walk me through it. How does that work exactly? I don't mean like the acquiring of it. I mean, when somebody like anybody really. Like we talked earlier off the record about Sorelli jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
So did they come to you? Do you go to them? How did that work?
So a lot of my brand deals, like you got to check your DMs.
Oh, okay.
I tell people that, like, check your DMs, check your spam folder on your email. Especially if it's somebody you haven't worked with before. Like, so many of my deals come from checking those.
Oh, that's great.
And checking that other folder on Instagram.
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking about?
No,
I'll have to show you this afterwards.
Show me the folder.
So there's your folder that you have with people who you're connected with on Instagram, and then there's in your DMs there's like a little like other folder of like things that Instagram thinks are spam messages.
Oh, okay.
And you have to check those because sometimes there's brand deals in there that Instagram has flagged as spam. So a lot of my deals come from people
come to you
reaching out.
That's great.
To me, but I mean, like that's a rare case, and like you said, I don't know if it's because I'm verified.
Yes, I'm here to answer that question. That is because you're verified.
And I have high visibility, so people are like, "Great, can you post about my product?" So yeah, that's mostly honestly how they from my email,
right,
and my DMs.
Okay, so then you say yes.
Not those things those bots that comment on your pictures where it's like promoted on blah, blah, blah.
I hate those.
Yeah.
Don't touch those.
No.
All right, got it.
For a while, when they first comment, you're like, ooh.
They like me.
And then you click on it and you're like, no, this isn't real.
You're like, you're not a real person.
Yeah.
Okay, so that happens. They reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
You say yes or you say no. But when you say yes, you go to them, get their product, take pictures, post it, tag it. And then what happens with the product? Do you get to keep some of this stuff?
So I'm trying to think. Most of them, if not all of them, you get product.
That's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, they want you
to wear it,
to have it. If it's food, they want you to share it. They want to send you a bunch of it, give it to your friends, tell them to post about it. Because a lot of it is word of mouth and like word of virtual mouth.
Right.
And so like a lot of the time they'll give me double of product too.
Oh, to give to like a friend or something? Wow.
Yeah. And
well, you have a friend in me, Kendall. Just so you know.
I'll put you on my friend list.
Put me on the list.
Okay.
So now the Kendall's Bites.
Yes. Oh, yes. We didn't talk about Kendall's Bites.
First of all, I don't know how you can consume so much food, but I follow you. I follow your bites. I'm like, that looks delicious. There's no way she finished it.
That's true. Okay. That's probably true.
Okay, good.
I'm here to confirm.
All right, great. Because you do it, man. You get dessert, you get appetizers, salad.
Well, if it's a place that is far from me or I don't normally go to, I had a night off, like this is my chance.
Yeah.
I'm hitting the microphone here.
Yeah, it sounds good. She plays music wherever she goes.
You want to write a song right now? Right here?
Oh gosh, you do not want me to. I would be like, "Happy birthday." Do you like
Kate,
that one?
Kate, that's been done. It's been done.
No, I'm writing it right now.
But no, like, so if I'm gonna go to a restaurant, I want to experience like. Tell me what the best app is. What's the I like dry drinks and not sweet. Like, what's your best dry, blah, blah, blah. Like, I want to run down of the menu. And then I want to tell people about it who don't know.
Okay.
And I want to, like, pass it on. I want to pass on the good info, if it's good.
If it's good.
Because people are like, do you post every place that you go? I'm like, no.
So there's more that we don't know about? That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a lot of food, a lot of drinks, a lot of desserts.
Yes. And sometimes things don't photograph well, which I'm sure you know.
Oh, yes.
They just don't. They just don't photograph
You cannot convey the message that you want
and then I'm
the
like,
photo.
This can't be posted. It looks terrible.
I've wasted my time, but my God, it was delicious.
Yeah. And sometimes then those will be story posts.
Okay. Got it. Oh, I'm in your head.
Shouldn't live forever on the page. But 24 hours. 24
hours, it can be up there.
Good enough.
Okay. So how did that start? Do you have this like zest, this love for food?
So you know what's funny?
Tell me. I love funny things.
When I lived in Nashville for like 4 years.
Oh.
And so I went back, I was like cleaning out my Instagram during COVID out of boredom. And so I went back and this was like on my main page, my main verified page from when I lived in Nashville. So many posts were just pictures of food.
Oh.
And I was like, why? I mean, and then I was looking back and I was like, those sweet potato pancakes were amazing. Like I'm looking back at these pictures of the food that I was posting, and I was like, these should live not on this page. This should be on a food page. Like this shouldn't be on a page of people following me for my music, because that's weird. And they probably don't want to see this. But if there's a separate page,
They want to see it.
maybe people want to see it. So that's what I did.
Wow. Good for you. You're like very creative and inventive, and you think outside the box. And
Yeah.
you can hear that in your music. Obviously, we
Thank
just
you.
talked about that. So great. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm always excited. I'm like, what did she eat now? What's that girl eating?
And I want the weird things.
Yeah, I know you
like
do.
what's a weird item? What looks weird? Sometimes I'll ask them like,
What is the weirdest thing?
what's the weirdest plated food item that you can put in front of me right now?
Yeah, didn't you have like a peanut butter burger or something?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. See,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not blowing smoke. I watch you. I'm watching you.
I love it. I welcome it.
Yeah, I know you do. Okay, so I wanted to ask. You are a singer-songwriter. When I think of Kendal Conrad, probably most people think of you as the singer, songwriter, the performer. The Kendal's Bites. That's great. That's like I have found that the best artists are not the ones that strictly just do one thing. I don't know if you're familiar with like Steve Martin. He's a writer. He's a comedian. He plays the ukulele. And he's very good at all of them. And he's one of the greats. And a lot of really great artists are they're actors and painters and things like that. And I find that to be fascinating, because I think not that they're connected, but one sort of complements the other. You kind of get into another part of the brain with one thing than you do with another. And I think that that's very important to sort of stay sane, to stay invested in what you're doing. And you probably don't look at it that way, but taking that time to go out to the restaurant, look at the food, ask for the weird stuff, it probably informs your performances in that you get a break from it. You get to have that self-care and, in a different way, that if you were just a person that just wrote and sang, you allow yourself time to do other things. And I think as you go on in life, you'll find that has served you in other ways that you weren't previously aware of.
That's super interesting.
I think you'll see that, and you'll have to let me know. Let's talk again in 10 years.
Love it. Well, and it's, as you were talking, it is like the plates as art.
Yeah.
Like, and looking at it and photographing it and being like, wow, this is a beautiful creation.
Yeah.
That's edible. Which I think is interesting. As you were talking, I was like, that's very true.
Yeah, it is. It's somebody else's creation.
Yeah, and it's their medium.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my concert. There, it's going out to.
It's a plate concert.
You know,
I like that.
Yeah,
I'm stealing that.
It's like,
just I'm writing that down right now.
Please.
I also take
You're
notes.
gonna use Kendal.
Kendal Conrad, fine.
Kendal's Bites.
Kendal's Bites. She taught me the concert of her plate. So getting back to the songwriting and the singing and the performing. Obviously, you and I both have that love of being on stage, of being the performer. I only like attention like that when I'm on stage. I don't want it like when I'm at a restaurant or walking to the bathroom or something. Not that happens for me. I'm sure it happens for you, but I don't like. I like it when it's on my terms. I like attention on my terms, and then when show's over.
Yes, okay. Yes, 100%. Yeah, I don't want to be. Well, we just said we're both quiet. And naturally, and I do not want to be the center of attention. Do not. I don't want to. I don't want to entertain when I'm not entertaining.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yes. Same mindset. So when you are on stage, when it is your performance, when it's your time and you're under the big hot white spotlight, do you remember? I don't know if this is phrased the right way, but like a greatest moment on stage, something that you were like, I will remember this for the rest of my life.
I mean, Keith Urban.
That was the moment.
Yeah. yeah, and it was so long ago now, and I still remember, like, he was soloing at the end of that song that we sang together, and I still, like, close my eyes and I can see his hand on the fret because I was so close to him on stage. That's how close I was standing to him. And I was just standing there staring at him solo out the outro for the song, and I was like, wow, I had this weird out of body, like, thing happen that I was like, yeah, this is like seared in my brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that moment for me. Yeah.
Now, in that moment, I'm not going to guesstimate your answer, but I think I know what it is. Did you have the realization in that moment where you're like, wow, I have made it?
That's interesting. No.
I thought you would say no.
Really?
I did, which leads me to my next question.
We're on the same wavelength here today.
Yes, we are.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I thought you would say no, and here's why. And I think you and I are very similar. Although, again, you're way more talented than I'll ever be. No, it's true. It's true. And it's not, this isn't like looking for compliments. These are facts. Okay. I'm going to be staring at you and I'll be like, Kendal, do you remember me?
No,
like,
stop.
and you'll be like, get away from me, you peasant. You'll shoo me away with your sparkly shoe.
I was going to say the shoes you wear. So far from peasant.
You'll see my shoes. You're like, all right, fine, let her backstage.
Can I have that?
Can we trade shoes? Do you take the time because you are a very busy person, do you take the time to actually sit back, and not physically sit back, but mentally sit back and look at what you have accomplished? Do you take that time? No. She's shaking her head no. Okay.
Oh, yes, verbal.
No.
You need a verbal? No.
Well, you shook your head no before the words came out.
What if I shook my head and then said yes?
She just throws me off at the end of the interview. Okay. So
no, ma'am.
You don't.
I do not.
Okay. I highly recommend you doing that. And
Okay.
here's how you can start.
Okay. These are tips.
These are
good
tips.
Tips and tools.
Well, this is kind of a question too.
Okay.
But I already kind of have the answer again.
Oh, no.
I like having the answer before I ask the question. So look at it this way. Think of I always say your kindergarten self. Think if you could go up to your kindergarten self. You just walk right up to this little girl. She's mid-crayon holding in kindergarten on her coloring book. And it's almost nap time. And you walk up and you're like, hey, Kendal Conrad. And she's like, how did you know my name? And you say, when you grow up, you are going to be a singer, songwriter. You're going to put out all of these albums. You're going to perform with famous people on stage. You're going to wear really awesome clothes. I am you. You are looking at your future. What do you think? What do you think she would say?
That's super cool.
Seriously, think about that.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. Yeah, that's amazing. You know what I have thought about, though, going off of that? I do think that this was on an application for a singing show. I can't remember which one, but they make you fill out an application. So this was for The Voice or America's Got Talent or something. And they asked what motivates you to sing or whatever. It was a very simple question. And I think my answer was 12-year-old me.
Oh.
So, like,
kind of.
But, like, not in that way.
Yeah.
Not in that way.
Well, what would your kindergarten self say? And really imagine that, because that's how I get through it, because I'm like, I'm not good enough. I didn't accomplish much.
Yeah.
And then I think, well, if I went back to my kindergarten self and said, hey, here's what you've done in your life.
Yeah. I mean, like, very cool. But also, I don't know if you're this way, but I am very critical of myself, and I think I have always been this way. So maybe I still would be like, well, that's cool, but did you play Madison Square Garden?
Right.
And then, like, I did not yet, and then I'd be like, oh, well.
Well, maybe you should try harder, Kendal Conrad of the future. Okay, that's good to know. Good to know.
Like, that's probably, there would be a little bit of disappointment.
You would
there.
criticize yourself as a 5-year-old. Okay.
I truly believe that.
Okay. That is not what I expected you to say.
No BS.
Okay, got it.
I do think that I would be like a little sad.
That's terrible. We can't end that way. We can't end that way. You're like, your little 5-year-old self's like, you could do better. What's wrong with you?
Wait.
Terrible. Okay. Well, let's not end on that. I do want to.
Or we could.
Kendal Conrad's 5-year-old self is disappointed in her.
Oh, that's a great. Is that the title of this podcast?
Yes, it is.
People would listen. They'd have to listen to the entire thing in order
to get to the end.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we do find ourselves here in the Lehigh Valley. Here you are.
Here I am. Here we are.
But you perform all over, but you live here. You live in the Lehigh Valley. So, what is it like being here, working here? Because I would assume that you write your songs in the Lehigh Valley. Is that?
Most of them, the good ones. The good songs, a lot of them I wrote in Nashville.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of them I wrote in Nashville. I'm trying to think if I actually physically wrote, like, usually I write from my bedroom, which is, like, I take my guitar up to my bedroom and I write
in the
songs.
Lehigh Valley.
Well, I live in Pottstown.
Oh, that's right. You live in Pottstown.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
I am rarely there other than to sleep.
Yeah, because you're always here. I just assume...
Yeah.
And I even read it in your bio that you live in Pottstown.
And I was like, sure.
Oh, okay. But you do a lot of performances here. You do. I see you here all the time.
Yeah. No, I basically, like, people are like, why don't you live here? Because you're here.
Why don't you live here?
All of the time. I don't know.
Okay. I would think.
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
Reconsider.
I've thought about it.
Okay.
But.
Well, why do you perform here? What brings you here? Why do you gravitate?
So literally, I come here almost every day, and I drive up from Pottstown basically every day. I had one gig, funny story, funny little side note, segue. I had a gig in Phoenixville like 2 days ago, and I literally was driving to Allentown, and I was like... Because Phoenixville is the opposite direction. And I was like, what am I doing? But that's how often I am here. And I had to turn around, drive all the way back in the opposite direction. Because I was like on autopilot and thought I was driving up to Lehigh Valley.
I've done that. We're like a magnet for you. We want you. We need you.
I know. It was being called.
You were. Well, I would reconsider. I would move here. But obviously the Lehigh Valley is very alive and rich in the arts. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people that live here, they do get to perform in New York and Philadelphia and things like that. It is kind of like a little hub. It's very close to those areas.
Well, playing in King of Prussia and Phoenixville and all those other places. Also, there's not this kind of artistic energy that is like focused, if that makes any sense. Right. So it's like, I'll play a brewery here and I'll play a restaurant here, but it's not this like little nucleus of art. It's kind of like spot by spot, if that makes any sense. So like you come up here in the valley and it's like almost every bar has karaoke night and open mics and music and bands and comedy, and it's all so everywhere. Yeah. And there's really no places near me that offer that. I mean,
come live with us, Kendal. Come to the Lehigh Valley.
We
need you.
I am thinking about it.
You should.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're moving. Got it.
I do like my car, though.
I know. I like your car, too. And you get to be in it a lot.
Well, I picked one that was like, this is like a hotel.
Yeah. It is. It's a hotel on wheels. Okay. I know how we can end. This is something that I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay.
So
Is this your surprise question?
No. Oh, well, my surprise question was the 5-year-old.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Thank you. Yeah.
I like that.
But you answered in a way that I didn't anticipate. But that's okay.
I'm sorry.
We can still continue this interview.
Okay.
Okay. So your new single,
yes.
I Don't Need You Now.
I don't.
She looked right at me when she said that. So the the image is you
Mm.
on a football field
Mm.
wearing, is it called a Letterman jacket? Am I saying the right thing?
I
You
think
don't know.
so. Or a
Okay.
varsity jacket?
Varsity jacket, Letterman jacket.
But yes.
Okay. And it's
I
obviously
think.
a man's.
Yes.
And you have like a very sparkly kind of formal, I'm going to say prom dress. That's what I equated it to
Yes.
because of the Letterman jacket.
Yes.
Varsity jacket.
Yes.
And the football field. And I listened to the words, of course. I listened to the song. And you took me right back. You took me right back.
Did I?
You did.
Good.
You did.
That was the purpose of it.
I know it was.
To be like nostalgic and
well done, my
yes,
friend.
Thank you.
So you say, you state these certain times when you say, I needed you then, I don't need you now.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I just got goosebumps again. Can you talk a little bit about where that came from?
Yeah. So, my mom and I have talked about this so many times where she's asked me, how personal do I want to get with my songs that are put out into the world with who, God knows who, hearing them. And then knowing all these things about me. And she was like, can't you fabricate some of it? And do you have to put so many real things in it?
In your mother's defense, that is a valid concern to have, especially as a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
Yeah, but a lot, I'm not going to say which things, but a lot of the things that I talk about in that song are like true and all things that did happen. And that song came from a write that I had all these fancy titles. And I started talking to my co-writers who I didn't know very well. And we were talking about high school. I don't even know why we were talking about high school. And I blurt out this sad, sappy story about this guy that I worshipped in high school and how he always completely ignored me, always. And it was after Keith Urban and Blake Shelton and all the crazy things. And I ran into him after that.
You did?
Yeah. And he was like, we were talking. He's like, do I still have your number? Blah, 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 all these things. And I was talking to these two songwriters in the room. And I was like, I had this weird moment of power or I don't know, or self-awareness where I looked at this guy and I didn't need any of his attention or love or whatever you call it.
Validation.
Validation, yeah. But no, I don't know if it was validation because I was like hopelessly in love with him and I really wanted him to like me. But I didn't need it. Whatever that was, whatever I needed.
Back then. Yeah,
I didn't need when he finally, 10 years later said it, I didn't need it. So, and then they were both like, we should write this. And then we did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that came from an accidental, I had no intentions of writing that story on that day. And then, like, it's now out in the world. So, it's crazy. Wild.
So that moment, I would consider that one of the great moments, right? Because in high school, gosh, we're just a mess. We're just figuring it out. We don't know who we are. We don't know who we're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to fit in, things like that. And you do, as a woman, well, I mean, probably boys do this too, but as a girl in high school, you want to feel what we see in the movies and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then to come full circle where you get it.
Mm-hmm.
You get that attention. You get that respect.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk away from it.
Mm-hmm.
That is success right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at the moment that I had it, it did feel like it was just too little, too late. And even at that point, it wasn't real.
Yeah.
Like the attention, it still wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Right.
Even in that moment. Like it was still superficial. Like the only reason why he even cared at that point was because I had done something that he thought was cool.
Yep.
So it's like, again, like I never needed you. I'm realizing it now, but like I didn't even then, which is the line in The Bridge, which we were talking about earlier. A bridge.
Yes.
Which is the little like, it's almost like it's supposed to be like a tie-in nugget of wisdom type line in country music where you kind of sum up The whole vibe of the song, it's like a Gandhi, almost like a wow line. And then if you can't come up with it, you just put a solo, like an instrumental solo in there, and you bring the chorus back in.
Oh.
If you can't come up with anything, you don't put something stupid in the bridge. That's like a rule of thumb in country music.
Okay.
So that line that in the bridge of that song where it's like, I actually never needed you. Even when I thought I needed you, never needed you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just a very weird moment for me.
It's a very powerful song.
Yeah, thank you.
And I can see from that song where it's going next. And I cannot wait.
Really?
Yes.
And that was just acoustic, too.
I know. It's very good. It's very inspirational. And again, really just so honored to be here with you. And
it's mutual.
I cannot wait for what comes next because you know I will be watching.
I know.
With my sparkly shoes.
Please.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on. Oh my gosh, this was wonderful.
You are an amazing interviewer.
I wanted to end on me, so thank you. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I can make time fly. But yeah, if you're out there and you're listening to this, definitely check out Kendal Conrad. If you don't know her already, you will.
And check out Kate Hughes.
You're not supposed to do that. This is your interview.
Check out Kate Hughes.
Okay, but check me out anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast, a Steel Pixel original series. Don't forget to like the podcast, leave us a review, and follow us on both social media and streaming services at Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast.